Ec- There it goes. Thank you so much, Laura, for hitting record. So again, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We really appreciate you being here. We know that afternoons can be busy and full of other commitments, so it really does mean a lot to us that you chose to spend this time with us. Today, I am super excited to share with you about our Count Play Explore grant that was recently awarded to CABE and our lead department here at CABE. And so we'll be talking about and just giving you more information about the work that we'll be engaging in the future this year, right, and next school year, and just thinking about how we can empower, right, early STEAM educators through our grant, and empowering them, right, to center joy, playfulness, and purposeful learning throughout their sessions and their STEAM instruction. And I'm trying to advance my slides. There it goes. Um, and so before we get started, I want to take a moment to very briefly introduce myself. My name is Natalie Nunez, and I've been working in education for a little over 10 years now. I started out as a kindergarten teacher in a dual immersion classroom, which is really where my love for early learning grew. When I was told I was going to kinder, I was a little nervous, but it ended up working beautifully, and I now love the little ones and early ed. Now I get to serve with Gabirai, and what my work consists of now is supporting educators across California in through professional learning, especially in dual language immersion settings and with multilingual learners. Um, our colleague will be joining us later, but she will also be one of the facilitators throughout the grant, right? Her name is Denise Lizarraga, who also brings her own expertise and experience as an educator. And so she, speaking of busy afternoons, right? She was running behind on pickups, and so she'll hop in later and say hi. But both of us together will be facilitating the sessions that we'll be delivering as part of this grant work. And so if you decide to join our cohort, which we wish you do, right, you'll be seeing a lot of both of us, and we'll be happy to support you and guide your work. All right. So then I forgot there was a little animation, but if you can just very quickly, enough about me, right? We want you to drop your name in the chat and just share with us where you're from and your current role. And so I'll give you all a couple of seconds to do that. Feel free to drop it in the chat. Give you all a couple seconds. All right. So as you get those responses in, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Today's session, it shouldn't take us that long, right? I just really wanted to make sure that I was providing an overview of what the grant work consists of and some of your commitments if as being part of a cohort member. And so we'll leave the first 30 minutes for a lot of that information, and then the last half hour, I'll just leave it open to questions. Thank you so much for joining us from Rialto and Willows. Thank you for being here from Riverside. All right. Um, and so before I jump into some of those details, right, I want to start off reviewing the Count Play Explore initiative, right? And I like us to take just a quick moment to look at their vision and mission together, because that's really what's going to ground a lot of the work that we're doing here. Excuse me. And so their vision, right? Children from birth through third grade develop strong in math science skills, which provide a foundation for academic success and career access. Every children from birth through third grade of any background, race, culture, ethnicity, language, gender, ability, or socioeconomic status, and every family, caregiver, and educator experiences math and science with confidence, joy, and belonging, right? And so very powerful mission. And then their mission, right? Count Play Explore provides culturally affirming capacity building, right, through professional learning experiences and resources, and messaging to support equitable math and science learning and outcomes for every child from birth through third grade. And so super powerful mission. When I learned of the work that CPE was engaging in, I was immediately interested, right? Because their vision and mission align closely not only with our organization mission, right, and vision, but with my personal vision. And so that brings us right to talk about ways that the Countplay explore mission and vision align beautifully with Gave's own mission, right? And so if y'all are not familiar, Gave's mission, right, by literacy, multicultural competency, and educational equity for all. Now, many of you know Cave primarily as a nonprofit that advocates for bilingual learners. And yes, that's absolutely true, right? And still very true. I want to pause here to highlight that our mission does also emphasize equity for all students, right? And that's going beyond thinking of our multilingual learners or beyond thinking about our bilingual learners. And so obviously including them also, right? But again, equity for all students. And so that's really our core values that drive everything that we do here at CABE. And so again, this is exactly why we were so eager to step into this opportunity when the grant became available. Now, in the next presentation, I'll share a little bit about why this work feels especially urgent now, right? And why we see building the capacity of early educators in STEAM as such a critical step forward. And so very quickly, what shouldn't take too long, feel free to drop it in the chat. We want to think about the why, right? And that leads us to our first reflection opportunity. I want you all to think about those of you that are in classrooms. Why or how do you feel if you have enough time built into your daily schedule to meaningfully teach STEAM? So right now, if you're in the classroom or you've been in the classroom before, right, I want you to reflect. Do you feel you have enough time for STEAM instruction, right? And if you're not in the classroom, that's absolutely okay. We want you to never enough time, right? Always hear that one, never enough time. And if you're not in the classroom, I want you to think back and reflect on your own schooling experience and think about how did you engage in STEAM learning, right? So let's go back to when not so long ago when we were younger and think about what did STEAM instruction look for me in grade school and middle school and in elementary school. What do you remember? What memories come about when I ask you to reflect on your STEAM learning experiences? And so I see in the chat, we always need more time. Yes, right. I was just working with a local school district and that's always a concern. Oh, there's never enough time. All right. So thank you so much for participating in that reflection. I'm going to move on. And again, as we think about why this work is so important, it's critical that we look at who is being left out of STEAM fields, right? Earlier I said I want to talk about why this work feels urgent, and this is exactly why, right? Women continue to be underrepresented in STEAM careers, and even at the level of advanced degrees, masters and doctorates, the numbers remain disproportionately low. And actually, I have their women remain underrepresented, or previously I read somewhere that women are behind, right? And that word behind just really made me stop and reflect. And I want to say, well, are women behind, right? Or is it that we've had historically just lack of access and opportunity in STEM fields, right? Because we're definitely capable and have the abilities to be in those STEAM fields. Um, we also see, right, that there's a persistent racial and ethnic disparities in STEAM fields. And so Black and Hispanic workers, for example, are underrepresented across STEAM occupations. And so just to give you a sense of that scale, and just one example of those disparities are that Black workers make up only about 5% of engineers and architects nationwide, right? Um, and so when we widen that lens, we see that Hispanics, Indigenous people, Black communities are all underrepresented in STEAM fields. And so this data really reminds us that access and equity in early education matter, right? And so when I ask you to reflect on how do you feel if you have enough time to teach STEAM? Well, it's a challenge, right? Because we never have enough time, but then we think about these inequities in STEAM representation. And so what this grant is looking to do, right, is disrupt some of those inequities and make sure that we have not only the time, right, but that we use that time to provide our students with STEAM meaningful inquiry based STEAM instruction. So I just want to quickly highlight some of the Count Play Explore principles, right? They ground their work in these four fundamental principles. Math and science are everywhere, right? Math and science are not limited to the boundaries of our classroom. Math and science happen in the home all day, every day, right? Math and science are for everyone. And so just thinking of those disparities in representation that I just shared with you, again, grounding ourselves in the belief that math and science are for everyone. Math and science should be playful. Those of you that reflected on your own experiences, team, which did any of you say, "Oh, I remember science. It was so much fun," or it brought me so much joy, right? Because that definitely was not my experience. And so we align and agree with the belief that math and science should be playful. Their second fundamental principle, right, is leading with equity for children, families, and educators. Third principle, they operate in all places where children and families live, play, and learn across birth, right, through third grade. And then number four, they leverage and align with state, regional, and local efforts. And five, builds towards sustainability. And so just the five core principles of the Count, Play, Explore. Um, so along with those principles, Count, Play, Explore has three goal areas, right? Their first goal area is birth through third grade educators and professional learning providers. It's their first goal. And that's exactly where we're brought into the picture, right? Their goal is to provide professional learning and coaching to a cohort really across the state of California. And so this grant was awarded to several organizations across the state to engage in this work in supporting educators and providing professional learning for educators. And then their goal area two, right? Families and children birth through third grade. And so there is a component that engages families and community members. And then goal area three, systems and organization. And then as part of this work, right, we've identified some goal areas. CABE has identified our own goal areas for educators, families, and students. And when we crafted these goals, we were very intentional about bringing together the core principles that we just saw of Count, Play, Explore, and then aligning them to our core principles, right, to CABE's principles. And so that means that we wanna help support embed STEAM instruction in ways that are developmentally appropriate, right? So thinking of our early ed educators and that are also culturally and linguistically sustaining. And so for educators, our goal is to build capacity in STEAM while continuing the work that we've always emphasized and that we've always engaged in, which is integrating strong language development strategies, right? Which are especially critical for our multilingual learners. And so we will also, throughout our sessions and our work together, connect this work to California's key frameworks and policies, which include the EO roadmap, the ELA EOD framework, right? Because we want to show how STEAM just naturally fits into the state's vision for learning. And then another key priority is fostering instructional leadership within the cohort. And so we want this work to be sustainable, way beyond the years that we work together, right? And to live beyond those grant years. And we want to build capacity in educators so that participants who join our cohort can carry this work forward, right? So that they can share with their own networks and colleagues, and they themselves can now build capacity across their schools and communities. Our goal area for students, right? All of our goals are important, but the one maybe one of the most critical ones is that we've set goals for children, right? And our focus, and so always keeping children centered. Our focus is to ensure that every child has meaningful access to STEAM through learning, through inquiry-based and play-centered experiences, right? We want to intentionally protect and create those spaces for children, thinking of there's never enough time, because we know that when children have real access, we begin to disrupt some of those inequities that we see in STEAM representation later on. And so, at the very heart of this work is making sure that children experience joy in learning. We want STEAM to be fun, engaging, and filled with meaningful opportunities so that they can explore and play, right? That they feel that their STEAM time, right, sparks their curiosity, and then really the goal is for it to open doors to future possibilities. And then finally, our goals for families. We want to make sure that the knowledge, skills, and experiences children bring from home are truly valued. Because let's be honest, learning is already happening. STEAM learning is already happening in the home every single day, and that's super powerful, right? And we want parents and caregivers to see themselves as essential contributors to their children's STEAM learning. I'll share a very personal experience with you quickly. Someone once shared that they had an aunt who, when they were making stew, right, or pozole, they would throw in metal spoons, right, in the mix so that the pozole, the stew, could heat up faster. And so I thought, wow, why would they do that, right? But then if you think about it, well, that's STEAM in action, right, in our own kitchens. And so our families, our caregivers, they're engaging in STEAM every single day, and they need to know that this knowledge is valuable and can play also a critical role in their children's STEAM knowledge development. All right. And so I know that was quick, but I thought it was important to ground the work that we're engaging in, right? And so going over the CPE principles and then our own goals for cohort members. And so this is just an overview, right, or a set of deliverables that will focus in our implementation plan. And so some of the requirements for cohort members, right, are that year one, participants attend 5 PD sessions for a total of 12 hours. And so this work really began in August with our recruitment efforts and our planning efforts. Our first session is scheduled for October 4th, where it's our only first Saturday session that will last 4 hours. After that, for professional learning, we'll meet once every other month for 2 hours. And so throughout the year, it's 12 hours of professional learning. Alongside that, cohort participants will also be required to attend 4 coaching sessions. And so we'll deliver the PD, right, but then we also want to make sure that the work goes beyond that and we're supporting educators with implementation. And we want to do that through offering coaching sessions and opportunities, right? And so for that first year, it'll be a total of 12 hours for professional learning and 8 hours in coaching sessions. And then occasionally participants will also have to participate in completing surveys and questionnaire. CPE, alongside with Fresno County Office of Ed, is also partnered with West Ed, who will be engaging in doing some research around this work, right? And so they'll be reaching out to participants, to us facilitators, and just asking us to complete surveys and questionnaires, right, as part of their research efforts. For the second year, and so this again the work begins in August, and those sessions have not been scheduled yet, right? But the requirements are the same. Participants will again have to attend and engage in 5 PD sessions for a total of 12 hours, attend 4 coaching sessions for a total of 8 hours, and again participate in any surveys or questionnaires. And then year three. So year three, right? This is half the year. It's only the fall semester. Participants will have to attend 2 PD sessions for a total of 4 hours, and then attend 2 coaching sessions for a total of 4 hours. And so the grant does run for 2 years and a half. With that said, I want to highlight that we understand things happen, right? People have lives, things come up, and so we really want to work with our cohort members to make sure that they don't miss out on an opportunity that they're interested in. And so all sessions will be recorded and available on our website. And so should a participant feel like, or for some reason they can't attend one of those PD sessions, but they really want to be part of a cohort, we are flexible, right, and offering opportunities for the participant to view the session recording, right, and still have access to that PDA and coaching learning opportunity. Um, And so this is a schedule that we have for this first year, right? And so our first session, I want you to note that October is the only month that we'll have two sessions, and that first Saturday, because it is our launch, is the only session that will be on a Saturday and for 4 hours. Following that, we'll meet every other month for professional learning. I believe it's the third, yes, third Tuesday of every month, and those sessions will be for 2 hours. Um, in the months where we don't have a professional learning opportunity scheduled, that's when our coaching will take place. Those haven't been scheduled yet because depending on our cohort member list, right, we'll decide how to organize those depending on who joins. Once we have our final cohort members, we want to be intentional about responding to the needs, and so we might organize them by grade level, by area. And so once we have those details figured out, then we will go ahead and schedule those coaching sessions. But overall, the year should look like, with the exception of October, one opportunity for professional learning, followed by the next month, another opportunity for a coaching session. And that's what the year is going to look like. Some of the requirements for core members, they'll participate in a total of 20 hours, and that includes both the professional learning and coaching sessions for the year. And so the breakdown, right, it'll be 12 hours of PD and 8 hours of coaching sessions for a total of 20 hours in that school year. Um, and then again, the goal is, right, that what we our work together makes its way into your classroom spaces and implementation spaces, right? Whether that's with students or with families and caregivers or whatever capacity it is you serve in, is that we ask that some way, somehow, right, you implement the STEAM activities that we work on throughout the year. Um, there is an opportunity to participate in the Math Impact Study. While we are accepting cohort members in pre-K settings up to third grade, the Math Impact Study is available to only preschool, TK, or kindergarten teachers for the 2025-2026 school years. And so there will be one participating group who receives the PD, receives the coaching sessions, and another group who is in a delayed control group. They will still have access to our PD and coaching sessions. However, that delayed control group won't get that immediately, right? Because they'll be serving as a control group. And so I didn't mention, but it's West Ed leading the research, right? And so they'll be supporting with this component of the grant. There are some additional requirements for the Math Impact Study. We'll ask teachers, there'll be additional surveys that they might have to participate in and respond to if you're part of the Math Impact Study, right? But the goal of West Ed is to identify and just gain more knowledge and do some research as to how CPE is actually impacting STEAM instruction in early learning. All right. And I know I said a lot. My goal was to be done by 4:30 with all of that information. I can't believe I did it because I always talk a lot and take super long. But thank you so much for staying with us. We really hope that this is something that you consider, right? Not only for yourself, but that you share with your networks and share with your colleagues. It really is a great opportunity for free professional learning. Again, we're super flexible in understanding that our lives are busy, right? But that doesn't mean that we can't engage in this work. And so always willing to again, whether it's through recordings or through scheduling our coaching sessions, right, making sure that you can still participate in the cohort. So I'm going to leave this time open for any additional questions. I'm also going to ask Laura if you can please, there she goes, if she can drop in our website in the chat. If you want to share this session with any one of your colleagues who might be interested, it'll also be available on our website. And so we are recording the session and we'll post it up. And so now just opening up for any questions.
Hello.
Hi, Kenzie. Hi, baby.
Hi. Um, so I am an instructional coach and I work with TK through sixth grade teachers. And so I was hoping to kind of get some ideas that then I could bring back. don't typically work directly with students, but I could probably find some time to just do an activity here or there with some groups. Would that still be okay?
Yes, absolutely. That's actually works perfectly, right? Because it's you attending, but then your impact will be greater in your support with other teachers. And so, yes, you're absolutely welcome. And feel free to share with other instructional coaches or teachers who might be interested. Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
No, thank you so much.
Natalie, I have a question.
Yes.
So it's gonna be 2 years and a half, right? So
Yes.
the grant is only for those who attend since the first year, or we can add new at the second year?
Um, I don't really have a lot of clarity on that right now. The we've been encouraged to be flexible in just making sure that we meet grant deliverables, and whether that's through live PD sessions or recorded sessions. And so I don't really have an answer for you. Now we have been told, however, that those 20 members, at least 20 members of our cohort, have to stay with us for the full 2 years. And so if there is a way maybe that year two cohort members could have access to the work that we've done the first year, then I don't discard that possibility.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one more question.
Yes.
As I'm sharing this with others, is I know some of our teachers are working on like their early childhood units still. Is there units that can be earned through this?
No, there isn't a unit earning opportunity. However, I'm glad you asked this, because I forgot to bring up that there will be opportunities offered to those who are interested to then present their learning in our own conferences or our own events. And so if that's something that your teachers would be interested in sharing, right, at other CABE events, the work that they've been engaging in, then that would be open to them. But yeah, unfortunately, no learning, no units available for this.
Okay, just checking. Thank you.
Yeah, no, good question. All right. Any other questions?
So registration is gonna be on the same web page?
Yes, so registration information can be found on our webpage. And so what it is it's just assuming to register for that first Saturday session from 8 to 12. Again, if you're interested in attending that session, but for some reason you can't make it out that Saturday, or you can't commit to the full time, please feel free to reach out to me, right? And we can definitely find a way to make sure that you still have access, and that opportunity is still available to you. But yes, registration information available to you all on the website. Yeah. All right. I don't see any more questions. More information coming soon. And so as we prepare for that Saturday, October session, I will be sending out a cohort member profile. Just nothing too complicated, right? We just want to get to know who's in our cohort. And so some basic information about where you're joining us from, right? And what role and capacity you serve in. And so that'll be going out soon. And if we don't have any other questions, then I think we can call it a night. Yes? All right. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. We hope to see you on Saturday, October 4th. Again, please feel free to share widely. It's a free opportunity for PD, and one that's super flexible, and always thinking of ways that we can support you, so that you can do this, right? All right. So good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Right, thank you.